Welcome to our third annual Child Care Commission meeting here in Novato. Thank you, Novato, for hosting us. Just some logistics. I hope everyone got some food. It's in the back. The restrooms are down the hallway if you need them. And to get us started, we do have a public hearing that starts at 7 o'clock. This first hour is our official commission meeting. We're going to be voting on a couple things. But first, I'd like to say what an honor it is to have representatives of our local officials here. And we have Mary Jane Burke, who's going to welcome us all here. And we're ready for you, Mary Jane.
Great. Thank you very much. So I'm actually going to be focusing on the commission, just for you to know, just for the sake of a moment here. And so I want you to know I'm honored to be here. And so to Heidi and Tanya and Anna and Carole and Lyda and Saul and Jane and Jason and Kelsey and Elaini and Ruth and Lourdes and Laura and Xochitl. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I got help. I just want you to know. And to Sarah and Sandy. So just take a look, everybody, at these people that are serving our community so you know that they're people that are giving of their precious time, which you don't have a lot of, and I know that, on behalf of the youngest children in our community, and want you to know that they represent over 250 years of service to young children. So let's hear it for that. I counted up, you have those little bios, and so I counted up your service, so that's number one. They have amazing experience. So all of you that actually got to go to the College of Marin, raise your hand. So several of these people did. Let's hear it for them. They actually went to the College of Marin, so that's very cool. Then we have teacher's aide, Head Start program, child care provider, adjunct instructor, executive directors, family advocates, director of YMCA, mothers, fathers, speech therapist, etc. So you represent a lot. And I think the most important message that you give to all of us and to the entire community is this, that you understand how important it is that we invest in the young children right throughout our community, and that we need to do it now. We need to do it well, and if we don't do it, then essentially we have to stop it with the narrative that we care about all kids. So here we go, we care about kids, we care about young children, but here's the bottom line. If we don't make sure that we become the advocates, all of us, in this way, every time we ever get a microphone or talking to somebody and talking about what's important, we need to let the community know, like these people do, that it's about the young children. We have to invest. And when we do, we know that we save money, right? But more importantly, we know that we set their trajectory for the rest of their lives. So I just want to say to you guys, thank you for what you're doing. I promise from me to you that when I get a mic, I do every time speak about young children in this community, and I do it with my passion, and I want you to know that wasn't the Mary Jane Burke you would have known like 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, some of you have heard me tell this story, if somebody would have said there's some money for schools or for early childhood, I would have said, no, don't you do anything except fund K-12 until after you fully fund K-12, then I think you should fund early childhood. And there were people in this room and throughout the community that looked at me, and instead of saying she's a fool, they said, we're gonna teach her why it is that what she's saying is not the direction we need to go as a community. And they took the time, and I appreciate it so much. So now when I speak, this is what I say: I would cut 12th grade and I'll cut 11th grade on behalf of young children in this community. Why? Because if we invest, it will make all the difference. So if any of you have an 11th, actually some of the people here do have 11th and 12th graders. I'm sorry, I'm just saying, they just need to get themselves right over to the College of Marin now, right? Just get going. So thank you for your service. And I know that you go to a lot of meetings, spend a lot of hours. And special thanks to you, Ericka, for the leadership you provide in Marin County and beyond. And I think I'm gonna hand this, do I hand it right off to the mayor of Novato?
Yes, please.
I do.
Thank you.
Ladies
to our
and gentlemen, the
Superintendent,
mayor
Mary
of
Jane
Novato,
Burke.
Fryday.
And a huge round of applause for Mary Jane Burke for everything she does. Make it louder. She deserves more. Hello, welcome, saludos, muchas gracias, bienvenidos a Novato. Nos hace feliz que estén aquí con nosotros para discutir este tema. Thank you so much for coming to Novato. It's an honor to have you here to discuss this incredibly important topic for our community and for our entire future. My name is Josh Fryday, as Mary Jane Burke said, and I just want to quickly thank you for coming and talk very, very shortly because I know you have a lot of work to do, and I was told to be quick, so I'll just be like 40, 45 minutes tops. That's a joke. This issue and the work that you all do is incredibly important to me personally, and is also incredibly important to our community, as you all know, and I don't need to tell you that, but what I would like to do is focus on a couple quick things. I'm very fortunate that I get to serve as mayor of Novato. I grew up here in Novato. And my mom was actually started a daycare, so I get to brag about how I went to a daycare. It's one of the ways she was able to take care of my brother and I. She was 22 when she had me. She was 23 when she had my brother. My parents were divorced when I was 5. We lived in 17 different places in Marin County before we graduated high school. And with everything, I was able to go to UC Berkeley with a full scholarship. Ultimately go to grad school and receive my law degree from UC Berkeley and serve our country in the United States Navy. And after doing that, I was allowed to come home and ultimately serve our community as mayor, which is a great honor. And I was able to do all of that, in my opinion, because I had a winning lottery ticket. And that winning lottery ticket was that I had access to childcare and preschool and Marin County public schools. And it's because of what you all in this community provided for me, and it's because of what Mary Jane Burke provided for me that I was able to follow my dreams, and I was able to help others. And that's why we're all here. We're all here to give every kid the opportunity to follow their dreams and ultimately make a contribution to this community. But this isn't just about me as much as every politician would like to make it about them. What this is about is the city of Novato and the entire community. Novato, as you all know, has more young kids, and I'm adding to that. We just had a baby, so it's the third Fryday boy running around. So we're adding to the Novato population. Novato has more kids than any other city in Marin. Which means when we talk about early childhood education, when we talk about early childhood development, what we're really talking about is the future of Novato. And when we're talking about the future of Novato, what we're really talking about is the future of Marin. And my wife, who received her degree in education from Stanford, and reminds me every day when I do something wrong that I'm screwing up our kids, and because of the importance of early childhood development, has beaten into me that if we really care about our community, if we really want our community to be safe, if we really want our economy to thrive, if we really want to live in a healthy environment, we have to invest in our children. And we have to do it with access to preschool for every kid. And we have to do it with access to childcare for every kid. And that's what you guys do. And that's what you guys provide. And for that, I'm so grateful on behalf of the city of Novato, on behalf of my fellow councilman, Ericka, who's in the audience. Thank you. Welcome to Novato, and have a lovely time here. We look forward to everything you do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move forward and call to order our meeting. I'd like to start with a roll call, if we could start to the left of our commissioners.
Laura Trahan. Carole Barton.
Jason Lowe.
Heidi Tomsky.
Kelsey Lombardi.
Anna Andrade Wolf. Xochitl Fierro.
Tanya Myers. Rasquiza.
Okay, we're all here. We're going to start with an approval or revision, any revisions to the agenda. Do I have an motion to approve the agenda?
I motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Tanya seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving forward, we're on public comment for all non-agendized items. If we have anybody that has public comment for any items not on the agenda? No? Okay. Moving forward, we'll go on to our consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent? It's unanimous unless there's something that jumps out. Okay, we're going to move forward on to our approval of the minutes. Do people have the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve
I motion.
as presented? And a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we are moving quickly right on to our child care and early education policy updates. We're going to start with federal policies, which is our friend Michelle Garcilazo, the field representative for Congressman Jared Huffman. So come on up, Michelle.
Hi, good afternoon. Hola, ¿cómo están todos? So before I go into my federal policy report, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about how childcare has affected my life and my family. And I'm really thrilled to be here with friends and people I call family too. My children go to the Fairfax San Anselmo Children's Center. I've been going there since birth, practically 1 year old, Elias, who's now a 12-year-old teenage boy. And I have a younger son who's now currently attending the Fairfax San Anselmo Children's Center. And I would say, we're going to be talking about how childcare impacts the children's lives and really helps close the achievement gap. But I think we have some folks from Parent Voices here as well. I think, I know that childcare also impacts the parents' lives. It really allows for parents to go to school, to be working parents, to succeed in their career. And I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for Fairfax San Anselmo Children's Center and organizations like Parent Voices. So with that, I'd like to go into a federal update. So we all know that the climate in DC is a little different than how it is here in California. The White House is controlled, the White House and both houses of Congress are controlled by the Republicans. And with that said, you guys in this room and everybody in the community should know that Congressman Huffman is a supporter of childcare as a means to close childcare and family services as a means to closing the achievement gap for all children. And that's why he supported and continues to support Marin Start in their effort in the creation of a local funding stream for childcare and family services here in Marin County. And in December, due in part to advocacy efforts of the Child Care Commission and Parent Voices, Congressman Huffman became a co-sponsor of the Child Care for Working Families Act. Now, this is a really important act because it really brings to the fore the crisis that families are having in terms of paying for childcare. There are a number of families who are having to choose between their mortgage and childcare. And what this bill does is it says that if you're earning below 150% of the SMI, the state median income, I think it's like about 140,000 probably here in Marin County. That means that your childcare expenses are capped at 7%. So you will not be paying more than $700 a month in childcare services. So again, it's not only closing the achievement gap for children, being able to access childcare programs, but it's also enabling families. It's also supporting working families. And like I said, because of the efforts of the Commission and Parent Voices, this bill has really brought the spotlight nationwide to the issue of around affordability in childcare services. As of today, there's 118 co-sponsors. Probably guess they're pretty much down party lines, but we have 118 co-sponsors of this bill saying that they recognize the challenge that families have with paying for childcare. In September of 2017, we were able to bring some federal funds into our congressional district to support child care services. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Congressman Huffman's district is the whole North Coast. So we're all of Marin, Coastal Sonoma, Trinity, Humboldt, Del Norte, and Mendocino counties. And in September, $350,000 came into Mendocino, or I'm sorry, to Sonoma County and into Humboldt County to provide child care services on the campuses of Sonoma State University and Humboldt State University. So again, it's allowing families to close the achievement gap in their own family, in their own income gaps, but it's also allowing for children to receive the same education on the same campus as their parents. And for fiscal year 2018, the Child Care Access Means Parents in School programs, quite a mouthful, received an additional $35 million in funding. So hopefully we can bring some of that funding back into our congressional district and really support the child care programs on the campuses that our parents are attending. On March 23rd, I think we all know that President Trump signed the omnibus bill. And if we believe budgets are value statements, like I do, what we did see were some wins for childcare and family services. Before I go into those wins, just a little bit of context. This bill, the omnibus bill, will fund us till the end of September. And then by about June, the president should have released his proposed budget. And so we'll start this whole funding issue all over again in 2 lovely months. Yeah, I mean, he already has his own ideas. One really great thing is how many of you guys heard of the CHIP program in the news recently? CHIP? A few of you guys? So the really great thing about that is the CHIP was extended for another 4 years. So that's really great. That means that our families who are accessing our child care programs, and especially those who are accessing our subsidized child care programs, their children will continue to have access to health care. And then we also saw funding for the maternal, infant, and early childhood home visiting program. That funding was extended through fiscal year 2022. And what that really allows is for home visitors to go into the homes of those families who are most vulnerable and really support those families in efforts to help raise healthy and vibrant children. One really great thing is the Child Care Development Block Grant received an additional $2.37 billion in funding. As a reminder, in 2014, the Child Care Commission did advocate for the passage or for the reauthorization of the block grant program. And it's now receiving about $8.2 billion in federal funding. So thank you again, the Child Care Commission. Your efforts are really paying off in advancing funding and access to child care services, not only here in Marin County, but also nationwide as well. Head Start and Early Head Start also received an additional $610 million in federal funding, bringing that total to about $9.9 billion. And what that really allows for is for programs like Community Action Marin to offer more child care hours to those families that are utilizing Head Start. However, again, if we go back to the point that budgets are value statements and they really say what we value, the one thing that we did not see in the budget was funding to honor the commitment we made to the Dreamers to help protect them here, to help protect them here in the United States. And really know that Congressman Huffman is here to support all constituents, all of his constituents. And I'm sure all of us know in this room at least one person who is concerned about their immigration status and their ability to stay in the United States with their American-born children. And they should know that Congressman Huffman, again, is here to support them. I do have some releases on the back of the table that allow our office to gain information from ICE. If or when someone is detained, we can gain factual information about that detention. And we can help you, and we can also help the family find out information on their detention. And then there's also some information on the back of the table, too, regarding the Child Care and Working Families Act as well. Any questions?
Questions from commissioners? No? Thanks so much, Michelle. Okay, moving right along. Next, we have Carole Simon Mills, District Representative for State Senator Mike McGuire up here. And here she is.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. And thank you all for having me back. Got to speak before you last year and talk to you about AB 435, which was in the works then and has now been signed, and we are part of a pilot program with Alameda, Contra Costa, and Sonoma County that subsidizes child care, and hopefully it's going to be such a success, which we believe it is, that they will make it a statewide bill. This year, Senator McGuire has authored SB 1359, which he's introduced in the Senate Education Committee, and it involves families that are on CalWorks. If they are kicked off in stage 3 before earning a stable income, they are more likely to stay in the cycle of poverty and unemployment. SB 1359 would promise stable child care to working families that entered California's welfare system teetering on the brink of poverty. They work hard and they comply and meet the requirements of the program, but they can't fully take advantage of it. So this will allow the children to stay on the program and eliminate stage 3 and keep them at stage 2. The second bill, which has the endorsement of the Children's Advocacy Institute, is SB 1158. That's why I can't hold it down here. I have to hold it here. And this is the CA Kids Plate Program, and it helps fund child care, health and safety, child abuse prevention, childhood unintentional injury prevention through Child Health and Safety Fund. It updates the Kid Plate program to match changes in our state child's care, health, and safety oversight programs, increase resources for childhood unintentional injury prevention, and updates the cost of the plate to match other specialty license plate pricing. And in the budget, the governor will continue to fund the increases in child care and early education provider rates and the number of children served to total $1.2 billion. This includes an almost 3% increase in funding for provider reimbursement rates. There are a number of other bills from other authors, both in the Senate and the Assembly, but the one I personally like is SB 837, Universal Transitional Kindergarten. And this is by Senator Dodd. And the reason I like this one is that my granddaughter turned 4 and lived in Petaluma. And she and her mom had to move to Santa Rosa. And she was enrolled in a TK program in Petaluma. But when they went to change her over to Santa Rosa, they discovered she was too young to be enrolled in Santa Rosa. So my daughter, who works in Santa Rosa, had to drive her down to Petaluma every morning, turn around and drive back to Santa Rosa, and then turn around and drive back to Petaluma to pick her up, and turn around and drive home to Santa Rosa. This would universally make the child TK program 4 years old in September in every county in the state. And that's anything else that you need from our office, all of you, I hope you will let us know. And any questions you have, any information you need, please let me know. Thanks again for inviting me.
Thank you, Carole. Okay, next up we have Meredith Parnell, Executive Director from Marin Kids, talking about Strong Start. Or Jenny Callaway's coming to talk about it instead.
Just to confuse you on all of the different people that are here. Hi, how are you? Nice to see all of you. Hey guys, how are you? Thank you all for all of your work. I'm here as chair of the Marin Strong Start Coalition, but before we do anything, I want to make sure that we introduce you to our new executive director for Marin Kids, who is Meredith Parnell. Yeah. So we're very excited to have Meredith join our team. She's our first executive director for Marin Kids, and she's doing exciting things. If you haven't had a chance to meet her or talk to her, I hope that you do, and I hope you keep your eyes and ears open about what Marin Kids is going to be doing in the next months ahead. So I'm here tonight just to give you an update on the Marin Strong Start Coalition, and wanted you guys to know that our interest in Marin, in the coalition, was to be in the best position when we go back to the voters to ask them for the dedicated funding stream for a Strong Start for Children's Services. And we felt we expected that our first run at this might be difficult, and we were very pleased that we got more than a majority of the voters in this county to support the measure, with almost 64%. So that got us a long ways. However, we don't want to go out again until we feel like we're in a better position. And so towards that end, we want to wait until 2020 to start to plan for another run at a ballot measure. Now, during that time between now and 2020, which may be here sooner than you think, in March, our plans are to grow our coalition stronger and to increase the public support for a funding measure to support these important needs for our kids and our working families. So Marin Kids is going to be hard at work, working on increasing that public support for addressing all of the different needs that we have in our community, including this Strong Start for our children. And we hope that each and every one of you from your various platforms will do the same. Because I know that I'm preaching to the choir in this room and everybody here supports this, but we need to build that in a much better way so that when we go back out again, whether it's a 2/3 or whether it's a simple majority, or if there are some other opportunities that present themselves in the days ahead, that we are shored up to be in the best place that we can be. Okay? Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, moving forward, we now have our wonderful staff person, Ericka Erickson, coordinator of the Marin County Child Care Commission.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for all the updates from the speakers. And I want to talk a little bit about the work of the commission and then how do we work on policies and the local initiatives. So we basically, every 5 years, we have a needs assessment, a countywide needs assessment. And actually, we are updating this needs assessment this year. And we have, based on the needs that are identified, we design a master plan that's for the whole county to address the needs that are identified through this assessment. So all of this, we have guidelines from the California Department of Education. Basically, we have a form that we follow and all the procedures that we follow to do this needs assessment, and also the master plan. Based on the master plan, we design together with input from community members, through the committees, and then from the commissioners, a policy platform that we update every year. And we have copies on the back, in the resource table. So basically, the policy platform guides us and guide also elected officials. We send out to elected officials to the broader community, guide decision-making regarding childcare and early education. So basically, here you can see we have highlighted, for example, create a local sustainable source of funding to ensure equal access to quality preschool, childcare, and after-school programs. Our main initiative, our main focus is to support the Strong Start Coalition. And then we go down through the issues on the platform. We have to build a streamlined subsidy reimbursement system that reflects the actual costs of childcare and early education. And then we have also the issue of equitable compensation for the professionals in the field. And then we advocate for a minimum wage increase that reflects the level of living wage, and then other compensation elements. But one thing that I want to highlight that came up this year especially, that's new in this platform, because basically we update this platform every year. We tweak a little bit based on the needs identified. So 2 needs were identified this year that's different from previous years. One is the third bullet point here on the number 4, on the second actually, support family child care advocacy efforts related to the change in infant toddlers ratio. Basically, there is an issue there for sustainability of the family child care providers that's based on the ratio between infant and toddlers that's reflecting their licensing. So there is an effort already going on, and we are supporting that effort. And I see some heads nod in the room from child care providers, family child care providers. So that's one. And then our Commissioner Andrade was one of the family child care providers that brought this to our attention. And then we also are with the eyes on the census to 2020. Because we know in childcare field, everything is based, especially subsidized care, on the census 2020 numbers. And if we don't have a complete count in the underserved communities, we are going to have less funding for childcare in future years, for the next 10 years. So we need to be very intentional and support the efforts of the census. As Michelle mentioned, the federal government, we are in a different scenario than before the census 2010, that really had some resource for outreach in the communities. We don't know how this would look like in the 2020 census, but you can only imagine. So we have to be more proactive on that effort. Also, another highlight for the platform from last year that we include was the issue of the need of raise awareness about the opportunity to increase landlords' acceptance of family childcare providers, because there's a lot of discrimination, as you know, against children, against childcare providers and others. So that's what I want to highlight, and I really appreciate all the updates from the elected officials, and I want to say, to share, for example, with Carole, that SB 837 that you mentioned, the TK expansion, is one of the bills we are tracking, because basically based on this platform, we have a list of bills that we identify as important for us to track and support. So we educate elected officials about these bills, we ask them we send letters of support or opposing. With the issue of SB 837, that's TK expansion, that seems pretty good, and as a parent, I really appreciate the effort. But there is a whole issue, for example, of quality, because as you may imagine, taking care of how many? 30 kids, 34-year-old in one classroom, one teacher is not really okay. So what Senator Dodd was in the meeting of the local planning council in Solano, and we talked with him about that, and he, for the commitment of more funds and more efforts in quality of TK before we roll this expansion. So we need to, so these kind of issues that we discuss on the commission is different perspective, because as you can see, we have different stakeholders represented here. And every county in California has a commission or has a council like this representing different sectors. So we have a chance to bring perspective from the parents, but also bring perspective from the professionals in the field. And in that way, we have a more informed discussions about the policies, and we can make better decisions together. So that's only one example of a bill. We also are tracking the preschool for all from McCartney. Also that one, but so we are looking forward to working with you and other representatives of elected officials on these bills, tracking and really educating not only the elected officials, but also the public about that. So that's what I want to share with you. There are many initiatives that we are tracking, that we are supporting. One of them by Community Action Marin, our Commissioner Kelsey is part of that. That's basically supporting the workforce development, involving parents to become teachers, and then bringing them to the field, what's amazing. So that's only some examples of the initiatives and policies that we are supporting. And with that, I will close my presentation, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ericka. Okay, next we're going to move forward to another piece of work that the Commission's been working on, which is our child care subsidy pilot plan. So for this, we are going to have you have it up already. We have a presentation for information for our commissioners. Just to remind you, we've had an ad hoc committee meeting for the last several months regarding this. We have a plan to present to the commissioners in hopes of approval tonight. So then it will go to the Board of Supervisors for approval and then on to the State Department of Education for final approval with the hopes of it rolling out the next fiscal year, July 1st, 2018. So with all that said, the pilot plan is to ensure funding for child care subsidies that address the local needs of our county and community here, which really means giving access to families, more families to child care, because one of the issues that comes up is that we live, as we all know, in a high-cost county, and it takes a lot more money to live here, and families are not able to access the child care subsidy program. So with these pilot programs, we're able to cater them to the needs of our families here. So the two main concerns are the underutilization of state funds, which means we're not serving enough families and because we can't find eligible families and monies are getting returned. And also the reimbursement rates are quite low compared to the regional market rates. And we are one of 8 counties participating in the pilot project. The other counties, for example, are Santa Cruz, Sonoma County, and Contra Costa County. And the why for this pilot program is that, as you can see, in the last 3 years, we returned $1,697,719, which means that's how all those families we could have served if we were able to administer the contracts differently to meet the needs of the families in these our community here. One of the things to understand this is for a family of 4 under the green arrow, the most you could make annually, and that's gross annually, is $58,524 in order to be eligible. So that's quite low for Marin County. And then the self-sufficiency for Marin is over $102,000. So there really is a big gap there, and that's the gap we're trying to address with the pilot project. This is just an example of the house. This is some of the information we're using in the pilot plan. And what this shows, again, is it takes at least $10,060 a year for housing costs, but you can't even earn that much in order to be eligible for the subsidy program. So again, it's another gap in the program and the way it's being mandated to be run. We have 2 main goals. One is to better meet the early education and child care needs of our families and to promote stable care for the children of those families. And the other one is to implement policies around reimbursement rates for contractors so that they, again, reflect the cost of doing business here in Marin County, and promote contractor retention and, again, reduce those returned funds. When we turn funds from our child care contracts, which are administered through the Child Development Division of the State Department of Education, they go back into the general fund. They don't go somewhere else to serve families. So it would be better for Marin if we could keep the money here. The pilot components are, number 1, to increase the income threshold for eligibility, which means that families could earn a higher amount of money annually in order to be eligible for the child care subsidy. The second piece is to authorize a 24-month eligibility rather than a 12-month eligibility. So that would ensure continuity of care for the children and stability for the families in the workforce. Number 3 is to restore the age eligibility for one of the contracts, which is the preschool contract, the CSPP. It would roll it back to 2.9 years as of September rather than December, which means that we could capture more children in that age group under that contract. Number 4 is to increase the number of hours for childcare that families could be eligible when they are seeking employment or housing. And number 5 is to establish a family fee schedule that would reflect no more than 10% of the family income. Currently, that the family fee schedule that we have does already do that, but we want to keep that in here in case a time comes that the family fee schedule does not reflect or reflects more than 10%. Right? I think that's it. Moving forward, our goals that we will be looking at to measure the impact of this pilot project would be to better meet the needs of families. We would use the April information from the 801A, which all contractors input that information each month regarding the families that they serve. And it would look at the number and share of children in the subsidized care with the family income above the state entry income threshold, and also look at the time and services year to year for retention. The second goal is expanding the supply of subsidized childcare, which is what we've been talking about, which we'd be able to do if we were able to capture more families and give more families access to subsidized childcare. And then just this next slide gives everyone a timeline of how the pilot project and plan was developed. As I said, we had our ad hoc committee. We had the pilot plan development, which we worked very hard in February and March. Now we're distributing our pilot plan. We did that to the ad hoc committee, and now we're here presenting it to our commission, and hopefully it will be approved and go on to our Board of Supervisors and up to our State Department of Education for final approval. So with all that information, do our commissioners have any questions regarding the pilot plan? No? Okay. Yes?
I wanted to ask, and maybe you've already, so you probably already mentioned this, but tracking success. We have a way to capture that, right?
Yes. There's a lot of reporting that happens with state contractors for the administration of the contracts. So it will be tracked through our April 801As, which is a monthly report that we do that goes to the state that the local planning council will have access to in order to track.
So, Eileen, we are required by the Department of Education to produce annual reports, accounting-wide reports. So every contractor that joins us to be part of this pilot plan, that basically we have unanimous participation at this point, they will agree to share their data, and then we are going to get that from the California Department of Education. We are going to produce annual reports that are required by the Department of Education, and then we are going to track the success, because the idea is that many of these elements of the pilot will be statewide in some years.
Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody? No? Okay, then do I have a motion for approval?
I move to approve the current version of the Marin County Individualized Child Care Subsidy Pilot Plan, and to delegate our authority to the Executive Committee to make any minor changes needed before submitting the document to the County Board of Supervisors for approval.
Okay, thank you, Xochitl. Do we have a second? We have a second from Anna. Any discussion? Any more? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yay, so exciting. Okay, motion approved. Woohoo! This is a lot of work. Excellent. Okay.
It's going to be on the doors provided by General.
Yeah, Ericka is saying April 24th it will be presented to the Board of Supervisors for final approval before moving to the state. Okay, I think we're going to move forward to our public hearing. Is that right?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's a
Do we have-
different format than a public hearing. Do you want me to explain?
Yes,
or how?
please.
Yeah. So, no, let's use that. So basically, basically we have this opportunity every year to do this community meeting. Usually our meetings are 3 to 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, and then not many people can come. And it's not, thinking about that, we were like, oh, let's do an annual meeting where we can talk with the community about the issues that are pressing the field from the perspective of parents and other stakeholders. So with that in mind, what we are going to do now for the next half an hour is, I'm glad that we are moving so fast on the agenda, imagine that. We are going to have each commissioner, each 2 commissioners, and I think that we can divide the room here in a pretty easy way, where we are going to have small group discussions, where we are going to talk about what is working in the field. For example, the workforce project, that's one thing that is working. And then what's not working in the field, what we need to improve, and then potential solutions for that need, if you have any potential solutions. So basically, we have been doing this for the last 3 years, and we did one in Marin City, and we did another one in the Canal last year, and we are doing one here today. What happened is all these notes, they are considered part of that needs assessment that I just shared with you every 5 years that happens. So basically, we are going to include that in our report, and we are going to communicate to elected officials, and that will inform our work together. So I'm going to so we have a easel paper, and we are going to have markers, and then we are going to divide the room, and with the commissioners, each small group will have at least 3 commissioners to facilitate the discussion and take notes. So I think that we are not so many in the room, so we are able to divide pretty easily. I think that we can divide in 3 groups, do you think? Yeah. Okay. So we have, the way that we did before was we count 1 to 3, and then each one will go to different group. So we can do that. I know some of you have to leave, but let's start over there in the back. 1, 2, 18, 3. You're leaving. Okay. Teresa 1, Mark 2, 3. Anna, you say? Yes, I'm here. 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
3.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2.
That's it. So we have group number 1. The commissioners are on that group, please. We have easel pads here, easel paper, and then markers. You can be on the corner, and then another one on the other corner, and another one on the other corner. And then we have a productive discussion for half an hour, and then we can report back. How does it sound? Good.
Great,
Thank
Ericka.
you.
Thank you.